welcome everyone to Films with the Woman in My Life. My name is Brennan, and joining me tonight is Nicole. Almost said Jess.
Hello.
She's not here.
That's okay. I'll be stand-in, Jess.
You'll be Nicole. And then Mama K is also with us.
I'll be Mama K.
Yeah, we can all be ourselves. That's okay.
I'll try.
You don't want to be yourself? Why don't you be each other? That'd be a fun review. You
Oh.
have to pretend to be the other person and review it. Ooh, that's a review it movie like another person, like one of our other co-hosts. Okay, that's another time. Tonight we are doing Priscilla. Priscilla, the new 2023 Sofia Coppola movie about Priscilla Presley.
Oh,
because
I
we
like
did.
to say Priscilla.
I watched Priscilla,
Oh,
Queen of the
Priscilla.
Desert.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We'll have
This is
to.
going to be interesting.
We'll have to see. The comparison points. How much crossover there is. Not a ton.
I really
probably.
didn't. I watched the Elvis one.
Priscilla, new Sofia Coppola movie. First, what are we going to start? First Sofia Coppola movies. Lost in Translation's the most famous, probably. We did we do On the Rocks? I feel like we didn't do On the Rocks.
We
I
didn't.
feel
We
like,
talked about it.
We talked about it on the top 5 show because it was on your top 5
Yeah.
that year, I think, or maybe an honorable mention. I don't remember. But Sofia Coppola movies. Okay, you have opinion on those?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I don't seek them out. Let's start with that. But as I was looking down the list, I'm like, okay, she's not super prolific. You know, there's not something every year that I need to look at from her. And I did notice that I forgot about the Virgin Suicides. So I
That's her first. I think that's her first feature.
that was the
length
first
one.
Yeah, and I did enjoy that. And I do enjoy Lost in Translation. So yeah, I guess I'm up on that. They're a little slow, so you have to be you can't be tired when you
They
start.
are, yes. Even at her best, they are. I call them very sleepy movies. They're pleasant little sleepy movies where like it's like melancholic wealthy people kind of wander around. Nicole, have you familiar with any of these movies we've talked about? This director, anything?
One of my colleagues will be very upset to hear that I don't think I've ever seen a Sofia Coppola movie. We were talking about that at work, and she was like, those are some of my favorites. And I was like, I don't think I could name one. So we were talking about Marie Antoinette, actually.
I've actually not seen that one.
I haven't either.
I probably should because I think my favorite Sofia Coppola movie is The Beguiled, which is also historical. But I like that one because it's the only Sofia Coppola movie where like there's a narrative drive, like because like I said, all the other movies are just kind of wandering around like with people, and it's moderately like it's like enjoyable usually at her when she's making good stuff. But Beguiled has like a plot. Beguiled has like tension and like things happen in it, and I'm like, ooh, this is. She should make movies that have things happen in them all the time.
Yeah, that's not
exciting.
Sophia. That's not her trademark.
No,
So.
she likes to. She films the ceiling fan.
Is it Cosmo Baby?
Well, I mean,
We can talk
could
about
be an
it.
argument. Could be an argument. On the other side of things, last year we did Elvis, which was big, huge Baz Luhrmann movie. I don't remember what everyone thought. I liked it. I know Nicole, it was her number 1 movie of the year, so we know Nicole liked Elvis. Mama K, I don't remember where you landed on Elvis.
Yeah, I was not the biggest fan of that movie.
I feel like you were flirting with the bottom 5 for Elvis, if I recall. I feel like you were really down on Elvis for some
Yeah,
reason.
I honestly can't remember, but I do remember it. I mean, it didn't make me mad like other movies have made me mad, but yeah,
This
I
will be an
was.
interesting top 5 this show this year. There's gonna be lots of fighting. Whatever, that's for later. There's gonna be a lot of fighting this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No,
We're gonna spoil it though.
We're gonna spoil it here now if you haven't seen it, but I haven't even gotten to it yet. I was
sorry.
giving a lot of intro because we had 2 sides of the intro. We had to do the Sofia Coppola side, and then we had to do we did Elvis, and it was a big thing for us last year. This is like a companion piece. This is what it's about. When teenager Priscilla, Beaulieu meets whatever. When Priscilla French meets Elvis Presley at a party, the man who's already a meteoric rock and roll superstar becomes someone entirely unexpected in private moments. A thrilling crush, an ally in loneliness, and a gentle best friend. This has an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes with critics, 63 with the audience, 7.1 IMDb. That's pretty standard for a good Sofia Coppola movie. So that's a good sign. If you haven't seen Priscilla, theaters, gonna spoil it, and here we go. So movie spans 15. How is she? Ages 15 to 27. So it's just the years of Priscilla when she's with Elvis. From meeting him as like a 14-year-old in a strange way. She's sitting at a diner. She's sitting at a diner, and like a guy comes in. He's like, "Hey, you should come to this thing. I don't know you at all, but like it's you should come to it. And it's a big, Elvis is gonna be there, and you should come to it. Like she's just a girl. Like she's just like some random girl, like truly out of nowhere. And Priscilla's got a military family, protective, but they reluctantly let her go. And again, Sofia Coppola movie, so it's kind of just quiet little talky things. But Elvis and Priscilla hit it off, and we follow their strange lives as they go, where they're living separate lives, and she's kind of locked away sometimes and you have to be here and sectioned off, and Elvis is running all over, and in his private moments, as I said, very gentle, very sweet, but then he's also got a temper, and he's also kind of man-childish, and so we're gonna navigate this very complicated world that this very young girl has just happened to find herself in. And Mom, K, why don't you start us off? What did you think of Priscilla?
Priscilla. I'm worried. Tell me, do you think what do you think the Oscar situation is going to be with this movie? Because I need to start somewhere. It's hard to start with her movies, honestly, because I feel like because it's a little like Well,
you just heard me read the description. I'm like, what happens in it? We watch her. They talk in rooms.
Yeah. Okay.
They go from here to there. There's no narrative thrust. We're just watching people.
You're watching people, but you're also, for me anyway, I'm making judgment choices the whole movie. Like, I'm judging her, I'm judging him,
Yeah.
I'm judging them together, I'm judging the people all around them. So I am actually invested in and awake in this movie because my brain is on high alert about all the red flags. This movie should be called Red Flags because that's all it is. There's not even, any, what's the one down? Yellow flags, I guess? Is that what's less than red?
There's confusing, I'd say there's some like confusing flags.
Beige
flags.
Beige flags. Right. Sad beige
It's more
flags.
like Elvis has got the flags, like those like Coast Guard flags, where they're trying to bring the ships in, but Priscilla doesn't read that language, so the flags are very confusing.
Yeah,
They're scary.
that's really interesting because, like, Elvis finds her so interesting to talk with. And I'm like, do you mean to talk to? Because that's actually... Talk at? Because she's a 14-year-old girl. What can you possibly have in common with her? You're 24 years old. That would be like my youngest son dating one of the freshman girls on my block. And I don't condone that. I don't...
Elvis...
Find that
real quick. Starting off, Elvis is 21 and she's 15. Is that the
Elvis
starting
is
point?
24.
I thought he was 19.
I thought he was. Priscilla meets.
He's
okay,
10 years older than her.
It's 10. It's 10-year gap. Okay, all right, 10-year gap. That's
19 and 21 sounds better, but it's still not good. But 24 is bad. Like,
yeah, and people were different back then too. Like 24 then was like it's like 30 now, as far as like what you've done with your life.
Right. It's funny that you say that things were different back then because your dad's a pretty big Elvis fan, not like in a fanatical way, but he likes him, and he likes the Elvis movie. Yeah, and you guys do too.
Recent converts, actually. I never gave a shit growing up, but yeah, just last couple of years.
It's going to Graceland that makes the difference, right? Because that's what it did for Daddy.
It's shockingly interesting. Like like, wow, I had no idea. But yeah continue.
So he's bringing up, he says the things of, times were different back then. I'm like, times are never different enough where a grown adult man should be pursuing a 14-year-old girl, or a grown adult woman shouldn't be pursuing a 14-year-old boy. None of that is okay. So when I got stuck on that in the beginning, I had to let it go real quick because I'm like, I know this is true. I know this is the story. I'm gonna try to embrace what Sofia Coppola is doing.
And
here.
this is how the adults probably reacted, because I know you again when we say times are different, it may have still been psychologically incorrect, but it was socially accepted more. It must have been, like, it were released in the South. Like, I don't know, like, because no one cares, and it's not just because he's rich. Like,
Could be
that happened back then. 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds got married off to dudes in their early 20s back then. That happened, probably way more than it happens now, and it probably didn't make everybody uncomfortable. It probably only made some people uncomfortable. Whereas now we'd be like, yeah, that's weird. But
there's also the added element of Elvis being a famous guy at this time. Like, why? Even if she knew it was morally wrong, and her parents knew it was morally wrong, like, who cares? It's Elvis. Like, they didn't care. It was like, okay, as long as he says he's a good guy, and he was in the military and everything, like. I don't think at that point they had anything wrong to base it off of, to say this is not right.
I mean, we're coming off a time where people used to own people. The grandparents were still alive in that time, so it's not like we've come a long way. But like we weren't there yet in humanity. We didn't see that. I mean, there's some countries still don't even see that. So.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm trying. So as I'm thinking about all this, and I'm trying to watch the movie, and I'm trying to think of like, well, so why did she do this movie, and what is she trying to say with this? I'm not entirely sure. Like, what? I can't imagine as a female director that her take on it is that it's as innocent as she sort of portrays it to be, or is she portraying it like that?
Oh, you think this is soft?
I'm not sure what I think about it. I want to think that it's actually a social commentary about it done in a way that's not in your face,
Oh, you think like this is supposed to be a picking at the world of Elvis and not just Elvis and Priscilla? It's more of like, this is a critique on the whole thing, and look how they're all acting, kind of thing.
I'm just wondering why somebody of our time frame would choose to make this story if they weren't saying something about it. Is she just saying that it's a love story? Because
I think you're more hung up on the age thing than most people. Honestly, I really do. Like, I think we're
you're
at
100% right, because I am half your age plus 7, and if that's not it, I'm not.
I agree with the half your age plus 7 rule, because I think it's the best rule but not everyone feels that way. There's huge age gaps all the time, and it's not like you and I are like thinking that that's weird. The three of us, I think, all sit with saying a 10-year age gap at this age is extremely odd, but I don't think it's 80% or 90%. I think we're at like the 40s or 50s. I don't know. I think there's a huge.
I think I do get infuriated by it. I get infuriated by Hollywood and Hollywood men who think that it's perfectly okay to do these, because they're still doing it now. It's not like it's stopped because society is telling
it hard for you to watch the rest of the movie.
It didn't, because I was waiting for the story, and that's kind of a hard.
Well, that was a mistake. It's a Sofia Coppola movie. There's no story.
Well, I was trying to. And maybe, I was really being very analytical about it, and not just about the age thing. That's why I asked the question about what do you think is going to happen come Oscar season, because I've heard buzz about this actress, and I can't tell you, it was like watching paint dry on Wonder Bread. Her acting was not acting at all. It was one simple note. Am I wrong? Nicole, help me.
Yeah, Nicole, let's transfer to you, because I know I was next to you.
Help me understand.
And you were,
I'm glad you asked.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey. I was generally perturbed throughout the beginning of the movie. I found her acting to be, to her benefit, very juvenile. Because that's what she's supposed to be, is 14 years old. I just looked them up, and the actor and actress are the same age, which is so crazy, because she definitely leaned into that adolescent role.
I thought she did a good job of age portrayal. We could get into like the specifics of is she a good Priscilla, but age wise, I thought she passed on both ends.
Yeah, she definitely looked young teen. She acted young teen. So I thought that she was very good in that sense. I will say in the beginning they really gave me the creeps. This relationship really gave me the creeps because
and how everybody just let it go, right?
Yeah, I mean the friends at the party, not even the men at the party, like they probably didn't give two shits, but I know that they showed the woman friends, and they had a little bit of speculation about it. You know, they were chit-chatting a little bit, but nothing to bring up concern to Priscilla or pull her aside and say, "Hey, is this okay with you?" Like nobody stood up for her, and it was just, I like the way that I mean, the director and all, put together that little montage of her wearing these little girl dresses up until she's going out in Vegas and wearing these more adult outfits and this extravagant luxury. She had to grow up so quickly. And I think that was portrayed very well. But as the movie went on, and I'm like, all right, we've established this now. She's had to grow up really quickly. She's had a child very young. Now what do we do? And the answer to that is we do nothing.
We end the movie.
We watch another hour of 10 years of nothing. So I will say that by the end of the movie, when it was over and the last scene completed and it went to Black River, and what did I turn to you and say, Brennan? I'm like, what the fuck was the point of that?
That was your point. That was exactly what you said. He was like, what's the point of that? I said, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. Like, it's a beautiful movie. It's fucking wander around, and then nothing happens. That's what happens.
It's a lot of wandering. It's a lot of shopping, and it's a lot of
staring out a window.
Yeah, it's a lot of holding dog and then holding baby, and then that's the end of the movie. So, I'm also curious of what the thought process was for making this. There's a lot going on in modern day discussion about it and how Priscilla actually feels about the movie and how Lisa Marie felt about the movie before she passed away. And I was curious at that point to see what all the hullabaloo was about, and I know that like Lisa Marie was not thrilled about how her father was portrayed. Not like it's a big surprise,
right?
I mean, no, I can read I'll read the excerpt here too. When you told me that, Nicole, at first you said Priscilla and Lisa both didn't like it, but I was like, I think Priscilla's a producer on it. Like, I think she at least signed off on it. Like, I don't know if she's like screaming from the rooftops. She was
probably upset with how Lisa Marie felt about it.
Maybe she's sad that her daughter was upset. But yeah, this is Lisa Marie in what is it? This is what she said to Coppola in like a email exchange. My father only comes across as predator and manipulative. As his daughter, I don't read this and see any of my father in this character. I don't read this and see my mother's perspective of my father. I read this and see your shockingly vengeful and contemptuous perspective, and I don't understand why. That's what Lisa Marie feels about this.
Yeah.
So
did Sofia Coppola respond to that? Because that
I don't have a response from her, but my guess is probably she was. I mean, my guess is she's diplomatic about it because that's what you would do. You'd be like, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but this is how I like.
This is the
I'm
story.
Going to make this exactly. This is how the story is. I see it in your mother's writing." So,
and it had to get past Priscilla's approval to make the damn thing because I feel like she would. That could end up in a lawsuit for all we know if it's slander, whatever.
And it was based on the book that Priscilla wrote, so it's...
Yeah, it's...
I'm thinking
nothing that I think...
Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, it's nothing that I don't think we already had a preconceived notion about, or things that weren't already brought up in other pieces of media about him. Right. It's not like this is brand new content.
Right. I feel that's exactly what I was going to say, is that it's more that this actually feels like it's got a soft hand to it, even in the parts where he's he gets violent toward her. It's not, it's, I hate to say this because as a woman you would never say something like this, but it's like violence light, he throws something that
it's okay to draw distinctions between levels of violence, like, a slap and a punch are different. Like, they just
I feel like I feel like the abuse was probably bigger than what was portrayed. And I think when I've seen other Elvis things, or even, read other Elvis things, that it feels like that was more happening then. I mean, he was really a tortured soul. Doesn't give him carte blanche to do any of that, but I think that this was a much more gentler version.
So you do think it was soft pedal a little bit. You think it was gnarlier than what was shown.
I just don't think it was. Her movies are always ethereal, and you have to embrace that piece of it when you're seeing this movie. You don't have to agree with it. I'm not saying that I think that's what happened in real life. I think that's her version of telling the story. And I think Priscilla probably liked it because you've already had your ex-husband's name dragged through the mud for so many things, that why not have a kinder, gentler tale to be told?
It's interesting that the film, I don't feel like they showed enough good times together to justify that. Like, I feel like it was all pretty negative. Excuse me. I mean, everything that we saw that she had to deal with was the negative aspects of it. So I can't say anything about their relationship in a positive way, not knowing anything else about it, because all they showed was her getting, emotionally and physically abused by him. So it does put the other Elvis movie into a different perspective for me, the one that came out last year, because not only was he dealing with all this stuff in the background, but it sounded like they brought up the Colonel in this movie, right? He was talking.
He's all background in
a
this.
couple times.
There's no Colonel in the movie, but on the phone.
But he's talking to him on the phone a couple times, and like thinking about those two paths of his life crossing at the same time like this, like, I feel bad for her. There's no getting out of this. I
gotta point a Colonel scene at, or not, I guess there's no Colonel scenes, and maybe I missed it, but when she's getting mad at him for reading the philosophy books because he's like, you have to learn, because like there's a lot of girls who would feel very special right now for me reading this philosophy to them, and she's like, this is fucking the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then the next scene, like he won't listen to her, and the next scene the Colonel calls and tells him no more books, it's a waste of time, and he burns all the books. Did Priscilla do that? Did Priscilla tell the Colonel and be like, hey, this is distraction from your thing, from your enterprise, from your money, and he's not going to listen to me. I'm his little girl wife, but he'll listen to you, Colonel. Like, I did. Okay, so this sounds like I didn't miss like a drop line or something. But wouldn't that wouldn't like a filmmaking's perspective, that would make
interesting
sense,
thought.
right? Like if you're telling a story, like, oh, what a clever way to show Priscilla has agency, which is part of my. I enjoyed the movie. Like, I enjoyed watching it. It's on the higher end of Sofia Coppola movies for me. But Priscilla is, because she's so young for most of it, and because she's just kind of a pawn moving around, she doesn't have any agency as a character, so she's not really a character. She's kind of like an object for us to watch for a lot of it. She doesn't do things because she can't do things, so we have to watch things done to her, and it's like interesting. Some of the shots are great, and some of the stuff is tense. Like when Elvis throws the chair at him in that one scene, like I'm like, oh my god, I jumped it was a jump scare, and when she's making him just pack your shit and leave, but then there's also tender ones where like when they're like doing the pictures and having fun and being silly together, like if you could push past all the age stuff, like it's like a cute fun, and it works for me from a I'm watching a movie, the scene is working kind of thing. But again, it's meandering, it doesn't go anywhere, it's not going to go anywhere, like, so it is. I agree with you at the end where we're like, what was the point of that movie at the end? Like, I don't know what the point of it was. If I think of like, why would Sofia Coppola make this movie? Now I'm thinking
Yes.
more. All right, let's
Why?
start at the bit. Yeah, we'll answer Mama Case. Circle back to Mama's Case question now. Why would Sofia Coppola make this movie? So Sofia Coppola, the nepo baby, of course. Father is Francis Ford Coppola, one of the greatest. I don't know if he's still alive, but one of the greatest directors of all time. So very famous, connected family. All of her cousins and not so connected. And as we talk about, I don't know if we've done I would love to do a deserving and non-deserving nepo baby discussion. Like who's like Angelina Jolie, perfect example, earns it because
Yeah.
she surpasses her father. So
Yes.
you have now earned your celebrity status,
Yeah.
or
Gwyneth Paltrow.
like you take like Sofia Coppola was one who have always been on the line for me because she makes good enough stuff where I'm like, yeah, that's worth it. Like I can see that. And like, but then there's some times where I'm like, maybe you're just kind of rich girl who doesn't want to, like, and that's what Priscilla is in this too. Like, she's swept away. She gets this fabulous life, but it's not easy being Priscilla because you don't have any agency at all, and you are just an object. But you're a nice object. You're an object that's treated very well for the most part, except in those couple of quiet moments. But like otherwise, like your life is so special, and I think that's why Sofia Coppola makes this, because like she grew up in a world where like, oh, I'm thrust into this by larger people than me, and she probably felt I don't have any agency at some point. I'm a young girl with all this attention and spotlight. I don't know how to handle this. And then by the end of the movie, Priscilla finds herself, and by finding herself, she leaves and takes agency for the first time and makes the decisions and moves on with her life. So I think it's a coming of age for when you're thrust into privilege, and everyone thinks how wonderful that must be, but there's a price to all that privilege.
Well, and possibly because Priscilla's still alive and worked on this movie, obviously, they had that commonality and those ties that made sense for this. So that does make sense to me. I didn't think about that piece of it. I hope that as a person, Priscilla has more personality than the Priscilla on screen, because honestly, I have never seen anybody be more cardboard in a long time in a role. Like, just nothing. The only times that she was emoting was when there was some sort of anxiety on the scene, whether it was having a chair thrown at her, or whether it was her getting engaged to Elvis. Those things, everything else seemed really sad and terribly lonely. And you said that you enjoyed the pictures where they were, or the scenes where they were together and taking pictures. I mean, one time they were outside and kind of tumbling around, right? But then, or something, they were taking pictures, but then Elvis got
Remember
violent
the
with
montage?
her.
Well, yes.
Toward the end of that, he
hits her.
yeah,
But
and she's like, you always have to be so rough, or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, like they were roughhousing, and he actually.
Oh, you always have
hit her
to
when they were
win.
roughhousing.
That's what she said. You always have to win.
She did say that, which I didn't. I wasn't getting that from him yet. Like the first 45 minutes, Elvis doesn't. I don't see the flags yet. I mean, I know the flags are coming, but like I don't. If I'm in her perspective, in her shoes, like I'm agreeably swept away at this point with her. Like I'm like, well, what else am I gonna do in this fucking boring town? I'm 14 and there's nothing to do, and my parent, like, what am I gonna do? And then
Everyone
the
speaks
most
German.
exciting. The most exciting person in the world comes and wants to hang out with me, and he's not like what everyone thinks he's like. Everyone thinks he's this big boisterous star, and in the big rooms he is. But then when he sits and talks to me, he's so quiet and nice, and it's a kindred spirit, lonely soul thing. And I guess it sounds like you don't maybe buy Elvis's. Do you think Elvis is being genuine with her, like when he's like in those quiet moments, or do you think he's just being pure manipulation and he's just a bad guy?
Nicole?
I think he's just very narcissistic
Yes.
and full of himself.
Yes.
And you should be honored to be spending time with me.
Well,
alone
yeah,
like
he does.
this.
And also,
Obviously.
again, their conversations were not conversations. It was him talking to her. And I like, she listens to me. She just sits there and stares at you. And you probably do have the same mental intellect at that point in time, because she's a 14-year-old girl and you're a 24-year-old man who, doesn't think of anything but himself. So Yeah, I feel like we didn't, that came across without having to watch it. Like, don't you think? Like, she didn't have to show that to us. I knew that was happening. What would you talk about? He was only interested. Am I still famous back home? Do people still like me? You know,
I don't know. I mean, we see
what
like
kind
she
of conversation
struggles.
is that?
She's just very lonely because I think he just connects to her because she's a lonely person when we meet her. It's hard to tell because we don't know anything about what she's like before Elvis comes.
But he doesn't care about anything with how she's feeling because he even admits to her that he's cheating on her with his co-star.
Yeah, that's true.
He goes away so many times per year. Like, she has to decide, am I going to be okay with my husband going and cheating on me and being in the spotlight for it, and I just have to go with it and pretend I don't care?
And not allowing me to actually have a life because I can't have a life. I can't go work at the little clothing store a couple days. First of all, after school, because I'm still in school. Yeah.
Do you not buy his whole, because he in the movie he's like, I don't want us to do anything serious until until we're married, till you're an adult. Like he purposely does not have sex with her until she's an adult in the movie, and so
he probably didn't want to get her pregnant.
Maybe, but I mean,
I think there's a lot more to this than we know because Priscilla maintains that fact that nothing happened till after they got married. I mean, they didn't have.
And I just don't like. I believe her. I believe her personally. Like, because I believe her because like everything is presented to me plausibly, and if he's banging other women anyway, like I think he thinks of Priscilla differently. Like and that's why when they're together and they're quiet things, and it only feels like a manipulation when you see it from her end. After like all his lies, I really think like on his end, it's just it's wanting to have your cake and eat it too. It's wanting to go home to your quiet, perfect soulmate, but then still being able to do whatever the fuck you want when you're out on the road, fucking and drinking and partying and taking your drugs and being the rock star. But you still want to go home to your quiet soulmate and pretend that you're that quiet soulmate together. We take our pictures together, aren't we so nice? Oh, I take her around. Like he wants both. He wants it both ways, and he's like, well, I'm the king. Why can't I have it both ways? I'll just go for it.
And he did have it.
For a long time, he had it both ways. Exactly. So he executed his vision for a decade at least, and then I mean,
but there's a piece in the movie that they don't. The piece in the movie that they don't say, and then that is that her parents. First of all, that was her stepdad. That wasn't her real dad. Died when she was little. That was her stepdad, and her parents. What are the conditions of her going to Graceland? You know, being chaperoned at all times. Apparently not in his bed, but at all other times. Is that he would marry her. And that was part of the conditional contract or whatever. You saw him signing contracts and stuff like that. So I think what it was is that he had a morals clause in his movie making situations and that he wasn't supposed to be, doing things that he was doing. And so he has this perfect person sitting at home that's enabling him to maintain that PR status, that PR persona, and that's her function. Like that makes me really sad to actually just say those words. Like that's what she is. She is basically somebody to hold down the PR for it. Mm-hmm. Keep the home fires burning. What did he say?
She probably feels a lot of. She probably feels a lot of regret or guilt for what she did, like guilt in the sense of, she worked so hard to convince her family to let her go, and she decided she wanted to do this, and probably regret that she realizes this is not the life that she wanted. But
right.
I mean, you can't make yourself look bad, and in her mind she probably can't make Elvis look bad, so she's got to deal with it, and it sucks.
And what sucks is like this is what you have to you think about most everybody. Like we're all imperfect people, and how imperfect and to what degree and what level is forgivable. And then also when you throw in the fact like Elvis is an enormous thing. He's not just a human. Like he's like
and he's not just a celebrity. He's like
he's not just
a super
him
celebrity.
Existing has changed so many other people's lives for better or worse that it's different. So it's like a different level.
Yeah.
having, and so when you have that in like your head, like when you like we go to Graceland, we've given money to the estate of Elvis, and he like profits, and he was clearly
welcome, Priscilla.
he was violent. Well, not Priscilla anymore. Riley Kehoe
that's
is
right.
ranking it in now. Yeah, good for her. There's another nepo baby that I thought sucked for so many years, and then saw Zola, and goddamn, she's so good in Zola. I'm like, it's fucking worth all of it. She's so good in that. Another time, but. Yeah, like he's very, very impactful, very complicated though. So is like Elvis a good thing, good guy? Is he okay? Is it okay for people to like him? Like, are we forgivable for that? For he's an abuser. He hit her at some point. Like he's a child predator, you could say. Like,
yep.
And these are just the things he did with her, not let alone the other women. What about this? I mean, an imperfect individual. But is it like is that okay? Like. Are we okay with that? Or do all of our celebrities need to be vetted and minty clean? Otherwise, cancel and throw them in the garbage. No room for nuance in the world anymore.
It's hard to say in 2023.
What's unforgivable? What is unforgivable, and how is there something like? I feel like our threshold is low enough, not low enough. How do I phrase it? Like. It almost seems like no matter how much good you could do on one end, if you have this part of your personality, you simply cannot be good in the eyes of the world.
Yeah, that's the problem, because everybody's got, if you can dig up something, everybody has something that can be dug up. I mean,
exactly.
It doesn't matter who you are, but there definitely are levels of what that looks like. This is the problem with, entertainment personality. Like, this is the problem with people becoming so enamored with what they see and what is told to them and what is fed to them. Generally is not, even the people that still come off as being really good, they can't be as good as you have them made up in your head. They just can't be. So
that's probably the bigger source of disappointment is that they are seen as so perfect, and they're not. Like Ellen DeGeneres, like, who would have thought that she was a monster? Like, she never made herself out to be that. And someone like Elvis is so well respected and enjoyed, and then I think people just don't want to think about that bad part.
Right.
But like the easy ones are like if you're a child molester, Dunsky.
Kevin Spacey.
Exactly. Kevin Spacey, persona non grata. Like, you can watch old stuff that he's in, I guess, if you want. But
Harvey Weinstein.
No one, there you go. Perfect. Another example. But those are easy. Those are easy throw them out kind of cases. But like then you get grayer. Like, you get to points where like he did a couple of things this one time 10 years ago, and like how bad were the couple? Was it multiple times? Like, and like it at a certain point, it's like speeding. Like, if everyone speeds, you can't pull over everyone for speeding. Like, if enough people are doing these things that are so horrible, our threshold might be wrong.
Well, I think the thing that you have to remember is, and we sort of touched on it earlier, is that it is hard to judge things with eyes that are 70 years older or 60 years older than they were then. I don't want to be trite about this, because you're not trite about
times
certain
were
things,
different.
but times were different, and we've grown, and things have evolved, and that's good, and it's supposed to happen. But to go back and to judge what was happening then based on what our moral forays are now, it's unfair. It's not that it's unjust. It's just unfair.
Part of my point, like wider point, is like it's hard if you look at almost like like founding fathers owned slaves. So like, what are they all bad guys now? But they made a country. Like, I don't know. Like, isn't there a certain point where like you have to be like, you can earn badness in your, like, you can earn so much and do so much and create so much that if you have these things that would otherwise be horribly unforgivable, beating people and taking advantage of a young woman, like, you just put that in a box, yeah, you're terrible. But what if you did so many great things for so many other people for so long? Is that all just, well, you fucked up and now it's done? Like, that's it.
I mean, that is kind of where we're at. That is the cancel culture.
I think I'm speaking to everybody listening who can hear my voice. We need to kind of be more adults, I think, and really try to critically think in our best ways possible, and really not autopilot ourselves and like That's
You have
my
to
message right now.
I agree.
You have to
and I think
always
that
be
you have
thinking.
To,
you have to
put
always
yourself,
think about things.
Yeah, and you have to be in the situation where you're in. Like, this is not the situation. We're not 50 years ago. We're not 60. This is where we are now, and that's why you can look back and make these kind of, observations and even judgment. I mean, my biggest judgment on the thing is the age thing. I still have that same judgment today.
Sure,
so that has not changed for me. So that's not, that's not the thing. But if you're looking back at how other people felt about it then, yeah, different. How other people felt about how women are treated, different. She probably wasn't treated that much differently than a lot of other women were treated.
I was like, if Priscilla did not marry Elvis, she could have just as easily married a different poor 24-year-old man who hits her worse. Like, that was a completely reasonably possible thing to happen. In that
that's where we're going to come to the conclusion.
Oh, God.
I say, if you ask Priscilla, are you glad you met Elvis? Do you think she'd say no?
No, I think she'd say yes. She had to. I mean,
would you have traded? Would you rather be Priscilla Presley, whatever you're known as now, like with your whole life having been with all that, or would you have rather stayed in that town and taken your chances there? I mean, I think she made the right decision to go with it, and then she made the right decision and the mature decision to leave while she could. Despite not having much agency in the movie, I do agree with most of Priscilla's choices.
Yeah. At the ripe old age of 25, she decided to make that choice.
That's about the time when your brain sets into place and you're
exactly.
like, yeah, I know who I am now, and this is not what I want. And that's all she needed. She just needed to figure that out, and she made it. She made it out. So
yeah.
She drives out of the gates, that little song's playing, Priscilla comes up, and Nicole turns to me and says, what was the point of that? So I'm going to turn to you guys.
Your dad turned to me and said, did this movie just end? It did.
I think our review is just about to end. Mama Kay, you're recommending Priscilla.
One last thing, Jacob Elordi, way too tall to play Elvis in this movie. Sorry.
Oh, we didn't even talk about him at all. He was okay. Performance-wise,
he did okay as Elvis, but he went too tall.
Not amazing, perfect on, but not like annoyingly bad or distracting.
No,
he was fine. Yeah.
This is not one of my favorites from her. There was a lot of thinking going on in this movie, and it probably kept me awake. So, probably
for a Sofia Coppola movie, yeah, that's
not gonna recommend this one. Based on acting, honestly, based on acting.
Kaylee. Yeah. So I mean, I think people are saying she's good. Like I don't think. I think she played the role well. But I don't think she was special. But I think people were like, "Oh, she's like especially good." But
no.
Nicole?
I disagree.
That was tough.
It was tough.
I think I'm gonna say yes, actually.
All right.
Because, I think it's a good precursor to the other Elvis film. Like, I'm happy that it came out afterwards, because I think it just brought a different life to the other Elvis movie. Like, he
kind of fleshed it out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, he dealt with so much shit, and people just taking advantage of him, and I think that makes more sense knowing that that's what he becomes after watching this. I don't think I really cared for the actress that much. I thought she was kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I thought that the actor playing Elvis was okay. But I think this is a palatable movie for most people. I would say yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend this too. For me, it's like a pretty enjoyable watch. Like, I was pretty engaged. I wasn't really even though it's a sleepy Sofia Coppola movie, I was not bored. There's She made this fucking one where it's like Edward Furlong sitting by a pool for an hour, and it's just God damn it! Why aren't we I hate when you do this. But no, this is not like that. The scenes are engaging. Like there's some good. I didn't even mention like the Vegas montage where like it's kind of there's some. It feels very classic. Fade ins, the roulette wheel spinning, the bottles are popping, and she's a good filmmaker, and I wish her movies had a point. To Nicole's point, but I would rather watch pretty things that are at least moderately entertaining than a bad thing altogether. So I'm recommending this for a Sofia Coppola movie. It's on the good side for me. So 2 recommends for Priscilla, 1 not recommend, like a fence not recommend, but still a not recommend. So we've got what do we got coming up? We're gonna wrap back around to Elemental. We finally caught up with that. We missed our Pixar in the summer, but we got that, and then because I think Wish is coming down the pike, I'm a little skeptical, a little afraid, but I open mind, open heart. Pixar's fooled me in good and bad ways before, so. More good than bad, typically, though. And then Holdovers. We're going to do the Holdovers. I wasn't sure if we were going to, but it's playing near enough of us. So I'm excited for Alexander Payne's The Holdovers. He's done, what's this big movie? Election. What's it? He did Downsizing recently, which was not popular. But I'm excited for this one. This looks good. Paul Giamatti. I like that guy. And we're in the thick of Oscar season. So pretty much everything coming out now is either a blockbuster. I don't know if we're going to go back to the MCU. We're kind of done with that, right? We don't need to do Marvels. Do you want to do the Marvels?
Until they fix it, yeah. I mean, I am going to see Cap 4, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, we'll see what our schedule's like. We're not going to promise anything.
Exactly.
In the meantime, things to recommend to us. Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost. And you can email the show with questions, suggestions, all that crap. filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. All right. Thank you guys for being on for Priscilla. All right, bye. Till next time, this is Brennan signing off saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies. What's the point of that?
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.